Hey, everybody, I'm Nate Warnock,
I'm Andrea Warnock.
and this is our Sunday night live show on the Marriage by Design podcast. Babe, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
Whoa.
Just kidding. No, we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Really talking to some people. And
Yeah, this is a show that we do every Sunday night where we just maybe talk about something that's kind of come across our plates this week, thinking about marriage and or family, as well as maybe take a couple questions that we've gotten over the time. What are you looking weird for?
Well, I didn't know we had two mics now that were black. What happened?
Yeah, well, so you raise a good point. Andrea probably did not listen to it, but if any of y'all listened to our last Marriage Monday episode,
I can't listen to them. I don't listen to any of our podcasts. It's too weird.
we're missing out on a view by you not watching it.
That's okay.
Yeah, so my sister-in-law for Christmas, freaking me out. It's like sideways on the screen. My sister-in-law got me this microphone and boom and all the stuff so that we could have two microphones because, look, I've said forever, I'm not a YouTube guy or a podcast guy. I'm a corporate attorney turned janitor. So YouTube doesn't really fit into that mix anywhere. But one thing that we've kind of wrestled with from the beginning is the quality of the sound. And part of it was, I bought the silver microphone that we've had forever. I bought for Andrea for, what was it, babe, an anniversary? Maybe after Ty and Terry died, which was how many years ago now? 6?
15?
Yeah, 7 almost. No, 6. And so that was the microphone that we were using, which has been great. It's a Yeti. It's been good for us, but quality of the sound's just not been amazing. And part of that's because we've had one microphone for 2 people. So anyway, we got this microphone for Christmas and put it in, thought this is going to be great. We have 2 microphones. I got the whole, mixer that combines them together and all that. And then I was editing our video from last Monday, and it was like my sound was on point. It sounded great. And then Andrea would start talking, and it was like, "Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast." I was like, "Oh, that's horrible." But it was too late at that point. So anyway, it was probably a combination of maybe the mic not being positioned great to where you were sitting, which is partly my fault, but also the fact that now we have one 2020 microphone and we had one 2015 microphone. So now we have 2 2022 microphones, and hopefully the sound is great. So tell us, babe, about your week. How was your New Year?
Fine.
What were you doing when the clock clicked over on midnight?
I was probably vacuuming.
Probably. We've all got hobbies.
So I had, we do New Year's with Nathan's family usually. So we were over at their house for a while. And then I came home with the 2 little boys and put them to bed. And then I just cleaned. And that was my New Year's. That was thrilling. So I was up till, 1 a.m. doing some cleaning and.
Good times.
I don't know. It's like not an exciting life.
No, it's just different.
It's just reality. Like
right.
You got to get things done when you can get them done, even if that's New Year's. So
right.
I hung out with his family for a while and watched them play a game for a little bit, and then came home and
that
was New Year's. Who else had an exciting New Year's?
Yeah,
I've definitely had some more exciting. It's not like that's my life all the time. I have exciting times other than New Year's.
Well, tell us what y'all got up to for New Year's. If you did something fun, put it in the comments down below. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, throw us a comment and let us know. Share the stream if you're on here and you're watching with us. Love to have you share it. We're trying to get our content out, not just to couples and families who would be interested in the content, but also to those who feel called by the Lord to encourage and walk through life with those couples and with those families. So love to have you share this while you're on it. Let's see what Leslie was doing. Was at an Airbnb at 9 p.m.
In bed.
Wait, in bed?
Her next comment is in bed. In bed at 9.
Oh, what are we doing
that's
here?
A little early.
9 o'clock?
Leslie.
That's like, I mean.
Well, her boys wake up really early, so.
Leslie, that means you're probably, like, I don't want to give away your age, but that means you're like 25 going on like 68. You should stop. You're better than that. That's fun. Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Hey, it's a good way to start a new year. Rested.
Right. We played a game as a family. I brought nice. See, she's just owning it. She writes old lady style. Yeah, that's right. But we love you anyway. We played a game. So, one thing that my family's good at, and I love my family, so we can laugh at this now. Leslie says, "Yes, I'm in bed right now." No, it's not okay. That's not okay.
Your New Year's bedtime.
So we played a game, and like my family generally does, we took a 60-minute game and turned it into a 3.5-hour game. But that was fun. It was a new game, and so everybody's learning, and it was fun. So that was good.
Cool.
Babe, what are we talking about this afternoon? You came across something on Facebook that you wanted to share, so I'd love to have you kick that off, and then I've got a question for you, and I have a question for me, which is
good.
Weird.
So I came across this article that talked about this lady was at her son's soccer practice, and they were told to little kids, young, I don't remember what age, let's say second grade, sounds good. They were told to do some laps around the field. And as the kids were doing laps, they started cutting corners. And they would cut like 6 feet off of a corner, And there was another parent there. This lady told her son, don't cut the corners, run the whole thing. Don't cut that 6 feet off. And the other parent that was close to her was like, what does it matter? It's only 6 feet.
It's only 6 feet.
They're still running, not a big deal. And she related that then, there's so many things I think you can relate that to, but she related that to parenting. And she said, no, it's important that he does the full thing, and I want my kids to run what they're told. I want my kids to really do what they're supposed to be doing. So the way she related it to parenting is don't cut 6 feet off of your parenting. Don't get lazy with our parenting. And one thing she said, which I've heard before, but it was such a great reminder, we're not raising children, we're raising adults.
Right.
Yes, they're children now, but we're raising them to be adults. We're not raising them to be children. And so to teach them that they need to go all the way every time is important. They need to have diligence. They need to work hard and not cut corners. And as parents, we need to not cut corners either. And that means we've got a lot of hard work ahead of us, but it's for a good reason. To slack and slide on this thing here or this thing there,
right.
Whatever it is. Oh, it is hard to discipline, and it takes a lot of consistency to discipline. And it's hard to teach manners, and it's hard to, you're repeating yourself constantly as a parent, and you're right. And you're dealing with a lot of the same issues and dealing with issues you don't want to deal with that you could just kind of turn a blind eye to and say, forget it. But we have to remember we're raising adults and think about this person is learning how to I'll steal a line from Emily, be a good American. They're learning how to be an adult from you. They're learning that it's important not to cut corners from you. So if we just mail it in and choose on certain things to say like, oh, I just don't have the energy. You do. I promise you do. Or I don't have it to, you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
I'm too exhausted, which there are definitely times where I say that I'm so over it. I'm too exhausted today. I just can't deal with this issue or whatever.
Right.
We need to remember to stop cutting the 6 feet because it makes a difference.
Right. Right. It was a good analogy, and it was a good reminder of something that we can fall into so easily. Mm-hmm. Leslie says, that you read that article. It was so good. Finish the full race. Yeah, and that's exactly right. And I think that's kind of the point is, I think of Paul when he was ending he was writing what we call Second Timothy, is a letter to Timothy, and it was really the end of Paul's, really life, but the end of his ministry career too, and he was able to look back on his life and say that famous, I ran the race, I finished strong.
I finished the race, I kept the faith, and now there is in store for me a crown of righteousness.
Right, and I think, man, can how many of us can that be said about the way that we parent? And this isn't meant to be condemning, because in all of our ways we cut the 6 feet from time to time, but that's what we want this channel to be about, is calling our attention to that and encouraging you that the way you finish a race strong is not by thinking about the end of the race, but by thinking about the next step, and then the step after that, and then the step after that. Sometimes we fall into this trap of making things always about the big thing, right? Like, we're raising 4, almost 5 kids. We have to pay bills. We have to, what about if our kids all want to play select sports, where's that money going to come from? What about if any of our kids get sick, what's going to happen? Well, no, just right now. Like, let's just not cut the corner on getting the kids ready for bed and getting them into bed right now. Right. Let's just not cut the corner on this podcast or this, whatever the thing is
issue that's in front of me right now.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That's exactly right. And that, I think we've found that makes it much easier to not cut the corners.
It does. There's a lot of times where I have to live my life in like 20-minute segments. I can't think beyond the 20 minutes that's in front of me, because that's too much. And I feel overwhelmed by that. But if I just think of whatever it is, this 20 minutes that it takes us to get out the door, to put shoes on and get out the door, that's what I'm dealing with right in the moment.
Right.
And I'm going to do that well and not yell at my kids for the 20th time this week because they can't seem to figure out how to put their shoes on. And we're going to, and teach them again that when we're leaving, this is the process. I just need to do this 20 minutes.
Right. No, that's good. Really good, babe. Good. Hey, new poster.
Hi.
Colton. Look at that beautiful family on that picture. If you guys are watching, you can see I just posted up the comment, as I try to with everyone's appropriate comments. We get some inappropriate ones. But yeah, Colton, man, what's up, buddy? I love seeing you and your beautiful family. What's that, a boy and a girl? Two girls? Oh, man, it's been so long since we've talked to you guys. That's awesome. Good, man. Hey, thanks for checking in. And you're right, time does fly, and children and families do grow, and we miss you guys. Yeah, so hope you're good on all that you guys are up to, and that the Lord blesses you. Yeah, we do.
You guys got smart and moved south.
South Omaha?
No. South, warm south. I see pictures and it's warm.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look at this. Look at the background on this picture. Ooh. Yeah. Well, we can take a picture of the snow out in front of our house if you want. Okay. So, if you guys have thoughts or questions about anything we've said, please feel free to continue to post those up. We're going to transition a little bit. Oh, Colton's setting me straight. Georgia in the Air Force. Hey, thank you for your service, Colton. And hope all's well with you and your wife. Please Georgia's tell her we said hi and we love you guys. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's great.
Let's go there. Let's
Georgia,
go them, like tonight.
Great. Colton, no big deal, but we're just gonna bring our 4 kids down to visit you guys. So
we
if you
might have our fifth
do that,
there.
that'd be great. No, that's good. Good, man. It's great. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do with the last 12 or so minutes that we have together. If any of you guys have questions, that's what this is all about. So feel free to post those up in the chat. We'll have to answer those. We'll certainly do that. So the question that I have for you, babe, that I've seen kind of passed around and wanted your input in for the folks. So is there a benefit to doing New Year's resolutions as a family with your kids? Like, is that something that I mean, first and foremost, is that something that's pleasing or not pleasing to the Lord? Is that something that you think is important to do as a family? So often New Year's resolutions are sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing where you say you're going to do something right before you stop doing it.
Right.
But is there a benefit to that within the Christian home? What do you think?
Sure. We've never done it.
not as with our kids.
So actually, just this morning, I was thinking, I want to sit down with some of the kids and talk about what are some things that you would like to put as goals this year. I don't need it to be, I think that's hard for a kid to, our oldest is 11, and I think he understands what a year is, and he understands what goals are. But I would say our 6 and 4-year-old probably wouldn't understand that as well, but we can start walking them and walking them through that and start trying to help them understand that.
Yeah.
But I think, I think it'd be cool. I don't want to give them goals.
No,
because I feel like I do that as a parent all the time anyway.
Sure.
So I feel like my disciplining is their goals, but and this is just for me at the age and stage of our children. I would like to hear what they think they'd like to accomplish this year. I think that'd be really cool. And write those down and come up with a plan, help them to come up with a plan to accomplish those. And then maybe make some times where we talk about some benchmarks and, then that's a lot for a 6 and 4-year-old, but for an 11-year-old, that's really starting to go down the path of thinking about how I accomplish big goals and how I make them into smaller things outside of school. Because school, you see a fly or something?
No, our lighting has sucked for this one. We've got huge shadows.
In school you have
OCD, sorry.
And you break those into chunks of things. But being able to think about goals and character things that you want to work on and all that. And how do I break that up? How do I come back to those and assess and reassess, whatever. I think that'd be really cool. So I thought about probably sitting down with the kids and starting to do that. I think coming up with some family goals is cool if that's what you're into. I don't know if we talked last year at this time about family vision and mission and all that.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we just always have as our goals and all that sort of thing. So, I think it's a great thing. We're never to just be stagnant,
right,
in our walks with the Lord or in our the work that the Lord is doing in us. So
sure,
those sorts of things are great.
Good, thanks, babe.
Yeah,
that's good.
What are your thoughts?
No, I think that's right. I think arbitrarily saying this is the time of the year when we set goals can be a weird thing.
Sure.
But the other thing that I think is really important for us to train our kids, and you mentioned this, is these goals that we set, like walking them through what a SMART goal is, the SMART thing, where, we don't just set these goals and then they're just out there, right? This year, I want to lose weight. Well, this year I want to be more obedient, right? Well, that isn't a goal. Like, let's set goals and then let's, as a family, revisit those to help our kids understand what accountability is and all those things. Yeah. So it's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. The question I'm asking myself, and actually it was something that was raised over the holidays, New Year's, was if you watched our Marriage Monday from last Monday, we're talking about sex. We're in the middle of a series talking about sex, and we were actually talking about what it means that my body belongs to my spouse, which is something that Paul wrote. And so we kind of unpacked that a little bit. Love to have you go back and check that out if you haven't listened to it. But we were reading that passage, and your Bible and my Bible said pretty different stuff.
Yep.
And it was, the whole theme of the verse was the same, but there were a couple of word changes that were really different. And we were asked about that over the holiday. And so I thought I would give just a real brief, just maybe to give you an understanding of why you can find different translations and how these things happened and what to do about that. So there are two main ways that the Bible's been translated traditionally. And now you can find, heck, there's an emoji Bible that you can buy. So, right, that's completely off the reservation, right? I'm not talking about that. I would also put, and I know this is probably controversial, but I would also put like the Message Bible in that same category, where it's not that the Message Bible doesn't hit on biblical topics. It's that it's become at that point so conversational that there's a significant number of passages that just simply don't line up with what a traditional translation of the Bible would say. So be cautious with the Message Bible. It's okay as a study tool or as an additional help, but I wouldn't study that as my main version. So there's been two traditional ways the Bible is translated. The most traditional way, the way that like the Old King James, the New King James, the English Standard, there's a number of other kind of those sort of translations are translated word for word, meaning from the source documents, they went through and translated each individual word of the translation and converted it to English. So it's not as conversational because a lot of the source translations were not. The translation from Greek to English or Hebrew to English is a dirty translation, meaning they don't speak the same way we speak. So it can get a little awkward when you're translating word to word. It's why like the Old King James can be really difficult to read, right? The English Standard can be a little bit challenging to read. Same thing with like the New King James. But it's a word to word translation, right? The other traditional translation, which would be represented by like the NIV, the New International Version, the New Living Translation, is it's well, yeah, yeah.
No, not the Message Bible. It's more of a translating the thought.
Right. So the difference is, whereas the first way was word to word, what they actually do in those is they did sentence to sentence. So they would take a whole sentence, translate it word to word to English, and then take a look at that sentence and go, okay, is there a way for us to write this that would be more modern in how we would speak now?
Yeah, and they're translating more of the idea of
that's right.
What the author was communicating.
That's right. So you can see how like the New Living Translation, the New International Version can be even a little bit more one step removed from the source documents because they're translating it word for word and then sort of rearranging the words to be more conversational. So what does that mean for us as people studying the Bible? Well, there are pros and cons to both, and they're inverse of each other. So the word to word translation, again, the King James, the New King James, the English Standard, is going to be more true to the source writings because it's a word to word translation. The con is it can be more difficult for new believers or for memorization because it's a little less conversational than those other versions. And of course, then the New International Version, the New Living, is the opposite of that. You run into times where it gets a little more removed from the source documents, but the original scripture, but it is more easily understood. So what do you take away from that? Well, all of that to say, my recommendation is that you find one of each, and kind of have them both open and that's kind of what we do. I have a English Standard Version Bible that sometime I'll show. Maybe we'll do that next Sunday night. I'll actually show that Bible because that Bible is really cool for a different reason. But the English Standard is what I study. I really love it. I love that translation, and so that's what I study. But I also have a New Living Translation as well. That's what our church uses. You're the one you read last week. Do you know what translation that is? NIV, maybe.
Oh.
I don't know. Anyway, so we have both, and I think,
we have lots of versions.
Yeah. Being able to go back and forth is helpful, I think.
Yeah, when I'm just reading, and not really doing much Bible study, I'm reading more of like a word for word, because I want to know what was originally written. But if there's things where I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me, then I'll go to something like New Living that kind of translates the thought better. Sure. But if I'm going to do a Bible, like really dig into it, then I'm going to look at a couple different versions.
Right. Yeah. And look, gang, the Bible is the word of God. Yeah. So I'm not here going, if you use the New Living, you're a noob, right? I mean, I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying I just am helping people understand the difference between the two. And like I said, I'd get one each. If I were you, and have them, look them up online. Yeah, exactly. And see what you think there. So anyway, that's the difference. And interestingly, we've not run into that before last Marriage Monday. A big difference. Yeah. That's right. So that's the difference in translation. So think about that. Otherwise, guys, babe, you have anything else you want to share or talk about?
No, but I think,
we're nailing it. I've been watching.
Closest we've ever come to ending on time.
Oh yeah, it's nailed. We nailed it. We have arrived. Okay, guys. With that lead in, we will have a Marriage Monday coming out tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of sex within marriage. So I'm sure that will be spicy. And then we will be having a Family Friday coming out as well. Babe, do we have the topic nailed down for that yet?
Yeah, we need to get our Christmas letter out.
Yes, our Christmas letter, which will have to rightly be called a New Year's letter this year. Right. We do need to get that done. And if you don't know what that is, we did one a year ago, but it's kind of our catching everybody up on life with our family. It's a little bit more scripted than usual, but we need to get that done. So, yes, hopefully, fingers crossed, that will be done for Family Friday this week.
Slacking a little bit.
That's right.
It's been busy.
That's right.
Like most people.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again for joining us. Really appreciate you being here. And remember, God is for your family. Have a good end to your weekend.